Hello, and welcome back to the U Up Podcast. I'm Jordana Abraham.
And I am Jared Freed. It is so good to be back here with you, Jordana. How are you? What's going on? Good to see you. What's going down?
Good to see you too.
Yeah.
It's been a week.
It's been a week.
Yeah.
We're kind of getting ahead, so we've done a couple extra episodes here and there. This is coming out May 3rd. We talked about May. Yes. Spring has sprung. It feels... It's gonna be May.
It's gonna be May. It's a new life. It's a new day. I'm getting accustomed to life with a car.
How's car life?
Mike and I had a very funny interaction the other day because we're like, we're moving in, so we have like a bunch of errands and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I guess we didn't realize we've been like going to all the errands together. Right. And then we're like on the way to go get like a train pass, and he looks at me. He goes, why do we keep doing why do we keep doing all this stuff together? Like, we don't both have to be here. Like, why are we doing
I could have been on the couch.
Right.
You could have gotten this, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. I guess we don't need to be doing this together.
Right.
I'm also just like, I guess we don't have enough responsibilities that we feel the need to divide and conquer.
Right. There's and it's like, it is funny that you're going into like car mode. Here, if you have like a rental car, you're like, get in the car.
Right.
We're going to do a bunch of stuff from the car. Like, it's a big deal to have the car.
Right. Because it's very, maybe that's it.
Right.
Like, it feels like it's still in that mode where it feels like special to have the car. Someone's going to take it away from us.
Right.
Or something.
I understand that. Very New York thing, like a transition. Like, you've never even seen each other as car people yet.
No, I mean, he's doing the vast majority of the driving. I will tell you that. I'm not a particularly good driver. But it was funny because we so he said that to me. I'm like, okay, I guess you don't want to you said it. So I guess we're not in double, tag teaming errands mode. But then we went to the movies on Sunday and he needed to pick something up from the supermarket, like by there. And then he parks kind of far away from the thing. And I'm like, all right, I'll wait in the car.
Right.
Because you're not going to come in with me. You just set the precedent.
Yes.
We're not doing everything tag team.
This is how we operate. Slowly, this is how a marriage devolves.
We're gonna do our own thing.
Yeah.
Ish, not even.
I mean, that it makes so much sense. Even like you saying like, I'm, he's driving, I'm not. Like, can you imagine you get married in New York, you live a city life, and then you move out to the suburbs and you find out like they're a totally different car person than you expected?
Yeah, you find out they can't parallel park.
I mean, dry city.
Right.
Population, you.
Yeah, the car is 12 inches from the curb.
Right, I got it. Don't worry. No. Just everyone be quiet.
Yeah.
Well, he's turning back. Don't look at me while I'm doing it. Like
it is a very emasculating thing to not have the parking down pat.
I mean, and to find that out post marriage.
Post marriage, it's too late.
Oof. Find out they yell at people in the car. Like, I was in the car. I was in an Uber in Austin, and depending on the city, you have to some cities have better Uber options than other. I would say like here in New York, like, the regular baseline Uber is, you feel like you're in a cab. Like, it feels like it's a professional driver. You go to some cities and you're like, I should have gotten the Uber XL or the Black, because you're like, I am in someone's life right now. Their chaotic life. I got in the car, and this woman...
feels like a hobby in other towns.
She's like doing it in between, errands,
Yes.
picking me up. And I get in and she's driving just erratically and yelling at people. And then suddenly she chugs a plastic bottle of water. She chugs a water, opens the window, tosses it out the window.
Oh my God.
And I was like... Oh my God. And I didn't know what to do. Like, what am I going to yell at this person? I'm not like Miss Frizzle. I'm not going to teach her about recycling.
Yeah.
I just like literally just took the seatbelt and put it on. I was like, I guess I'm unsafe now. And I'm imagining, imagine you go move out to the suburbs. And you're like, we got our cars now. And then you just see your husband chug a bottle and throw it out the window. That's what I do.
Yeah.
In the car, it doesn't matter.
It's terrifying, yeah.
Right.
That's such a spot-on description of the Uber drivers, though. Like, once
you never know.
If they're having conversations, I think it means they're doing it for a good time.
Well, I've had this experience because early in the morning, I get like a little anxious, or I take flights early. I'm first flight out club. People know this about me. Famously.
Of course.
I'm Mr. First Flight.
Yes, the first person to decide the first flight out is the best.
That's me.
Yes.
Right. I invented Mr. Worldwide, Mr. First Flight. That's me. And in some towns, I've taken like the cheapest Uber possible. And some of these people are like, I'm like, were you out? Are you driving back from the bar and picking me up? Like sometimes it is, it feels like a scary experience because it's still dark out, and I've generally I've started getting like the next one up just for that reason, because you're just like
second flight of the day.
No. I'm always first flight.
Oh, you mean the nicer
Uber,
yeah.
or planning it the night before. You can schedule one, and it's I don't know. You feel safer because you're like, maybe this is a professional.
No, I agree.
As opposed to someone's aunt.
Yeah, New York, I think you can do UberX.
Right, you're good.
Yeah, once you get into the smaller or random towns or even different cities, I agree.
Right,
that's a good move.
Well, I'm happy that I love this transition to suburban life that you're doing. How did it feel to come into the city? I was thinking about you. I was like, man, you have to come into this part of the city, which isn't generally where people hang out.
I found it actually to be pretty nice. I mean, this is my second week, so I don't want to like make vast generalizations, but I like that like now I'm forced to, when I'm coming in, I'm doing like a whole day of things, and I make sure that I'm knocking everything that I need to do out of the way. Whether that's a doctor's appointment or the thing, or like if I I'm really making it a full day, as opposed to when I was in the city, it was all very convenient. I would like be sort of like not on the go as much, or like, I don't want to say lazier, but
do things as they come. I totally understand. I walked in here jacked up. I've had a day so far.
Yeah.
Like worked out, walked here, got some stuff done. Like when you have a day, you do feel better. I mean, like this is like, when you knock things off the list and cross them off, and you got your coffee and you've done your Wordle, and and also again, to go back to what we said, it's May 3rd. It is, or 4th, or whenever you're getting this, and it's like, I think we're in renewal season. I'm feeling good. Like,
summer is coming.
Summer's coming. I think how
are you feeling?
I feel good. I think I've gotten some feedback has been, people are worried about me. I didn't see it coming.
People?
Which 7 people.
Which people? Okay.
A couple people. Maybe it's our craziest listeners.
Are they in your DMs?
I've gotten a couple like, I know it's been hard for you lately. Like a couple of those. And I'm like, I'm okay. Like I come in here and complain. And maybe it's too much because, when we talk about like people are asking, a lot of you have been asking. Sometimes you can get infected by that. So like sometimes I hear back from people, from 5 people of like, it was so nice to hear you talk about
this struggle
in dating. Right. And the point of me on this show is to commiserate, us on this show is to commiserate with people, to tell stories that maybe they'll relate to.
Yeah.
And then you see, I went on Reddit. I'd never been on there.
You can't do that.
Yeah, it was I kind of went back and forth.
Scary place.
There was a really nice write-up about my stand-up. There was like this whole thing, and there was and people were so nice about my stand-up show.
That's great.
Which was like the greatest compliment, because I put a lot of work into those shows, and I want to make them great. And I do get very nervous that someone walks away going, I wasted my night. This guy fucking sucked. I do get nervous about that.
Well, here's the thing about Reddit. It's like, do you want to hear what everyone is thinking about you that they wouldn't say to your face?
Right.
And the answer is like, only if it's good.
Right.
I guess. Because that's kind of like, that's sort of amazing that these people who are not saying anything to your face, are not assuming you're going to read anything, are just going out of their way to write really positive things about your stand-up. Like, that's kind of incredible, right?
Oh my
because
God.
They don't have any idea that you even see it.
Complete tears in my eyes. Like, I was like so happy because, again, we made a special together. We're trying to sell it right now.
Yeah.
That comes with its own feelings of inadequacies and anxiety, right? And feelings that go with that. And I was in Austin, and I was in this festival, and I wasn't really included in the festival, even though nominally I was included. And I felt kind of bad about that, not being involved in the stand-up communities of speaks, so to speak. And then I read this thread, and what got me reading more, the hateful stuff I started reading, because I read this beautiful thing about people having fun at my shows, which is all I care about in the world.
Yeah.
And then there were people that were like, yeah, we're writing this because there's just been so much negativity about Jared lately. I was like, what? So it's this mix of pain and pleasure, because I was like, and then I go read on, and it seemed there was a couple people that were like, enough of Jared's sad story. I think I'm going through it in the same way most people who are dating. I think, and what...
Well, here's the thing. Every story that doesn't end in you found the love of your life and are getting married, and that's like, is a sad story to an extent.
I guess,
right? Like,
I get, you make a good point. And I think, I actually wanted to hear what you thought about this. I also don't think it's like I think there's some, it's seemingly women who hear a guy complain of dating and they don't want to hear it.
Well, especially a guy that is having no trouble getting dates.
Right.
I think the biggest issue for many, many people is a lack of people to go out with. That's why it can be frustrating. I think sometimes even our advice that's like, go out with many people, keep dating. Well, it's like, it's not that easy for me. So I think maybe if there's a bitterness in what you were upset, like you talk about this all the time, the water everywhere, not a drop to drink.
Absolutely.
Kind of thing, where it's like, if someone's issue is I can't get a date, and then you hear this person complaining about all the dates they go on or the interactions on the dates, they're like, well, I can't even get to that level. I'm still on level. People are talking to me on the apps, but not actually asking me out, or I'm not even getting any matches on the apps.
Right. But I would think of you, like your dating experience.
Yeah.
You were not without a date.
I wasn't without a date, but I don't know if I was. And again, I don't think I was like that active in trying to get them. Maybe I would have done it differently looking back. But yeah, I mean, what's a lot of dates? It's all relative, right?
It's all relative, but I would say, like, I would assume that like people want to go. If you want to go on a date, you could.
Right.
Like
to an extent, yeah.
To an extent of like, I'm on a dating.
Well, it's like if
that's a New York City thing too.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and that's part. That's for me. That's
if
a New
I wanted
York
to go on
City thing.
a date with someone on the apps, yes, I could. If I wanted to go on a date with someone that I was really excited about the match on the apps, maybe less so.
Well, that in itself to someone out there could be annoying.
That's true, too. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's all relative.
Who the fuck's excited? Like, I don't know. I looked at some of the comments. I'm okay with it. Listen, here's what I know. I have never come on here and lied about my feelings and experience. Mm-hmm. I've never tried to convince you that what I'm saying is right or wrong. And then there was one that was like, Jared is not 10. I claim to be 10% away from whatever the guy in your life is feeling.
Right.
I still believe that. There was disagreement that maybe I'm not
on the threads.
On the threads, they're like, well, my husband. It's like, well, who do you think's more likely to lie to Yelper Reddit writer? Guy who has to deal with you day in and day out, or me who doesn't have to look you in the eye ever? I come on here and spew from the heart, from the anus,
with no fear of judgment.
Not really. I kind of had a moment just going back and forth. I was like, I don't want to be, this show is about entertainment.
Yes.
I'm no expert. You're not an expert. We're just two people speaking from the anus.
Speaking to our own experiences.
Right.
Yes.
And but that's the thing. We're not and I will say this, the beauty of the show, the one thing I can guarantee, we ain't after retweets, because we don't get any. We don't do well on TikTok.
We don't.
I'll say, and there's a reason, because I'm not sitting here going, yes, queen, in whatever way you want to hear. I'm not here to agree with you. I'm just here to say my version of the truth.
Right. No,
and you are too.
Yeah.
We're,
they're not here for the sound bites.
I wish we were sometimes.
Yeah.
I see sometimes I see these TikToks where they're dating. It's like, what you gotta do. And I'm like, damn it.
If he's not texting you, then he's not interested. Right.
Right. Someone said that the response to the Julia episode.
People loved that episode.
I loved it too. Well, that was where that's what got me down this rabbit hole. People were they were like, I was worried Jared was going to apologize for his behavior. I've never apologized. People get mad. I guess there was an anger that I say, if the show was fuck him, it'd be a pretty short show. There would be no show.
Well, here's the thing. I actually think that your inside the mind of the man thing is one of the most the parts that distinguish the show from other shows is like you get it's not like one-sided. It's very nuanced, and you get the side. You get not defense of the other side, but an explanation of what the other side might be thinking.
Here's what I felt in this moment that, and then I guess I'm apologizing for myself. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to make myself sound not as evil. To someone, what I'm saying is evil, and even any version of it's not that bad from that guy is a defense of me. So then they're going, well, fuck you. You're a worse guy. Okay, maybe I am. Maybe I'm a piece of shit. That's okay. I just loved the Julia episode.
Everyone loved it. I feel like it got universal praise. It was crazy.
Those are the conversations. That's the reason I ever started talking about dating in a public way. Like us talking with Julia about what happened, the questions we were asking, your defense of like, I fixed you up. I feel intimately involved. It was a beautiful episode because it was brunch table fodder. Like that is every conversation. And I told you, I said, we both said relatability at a high.
Yes. It's the kind of episode that you're like, I've had this discussion with my friends.
Right.
This is a extremely relatable thing. This happens all the time. And here's two people or three people, I guess.
Right.
Who are like invested.
Hashing it out, invested. And honestly, like, I'm not looking to like make, like we both like Julia. Like she's a friend to both of us.
Yeah.
And I think.
And we like the guy. I mean.
Right. Yeah. And we know the guy. I like the guy. Yeah, I do. You do too. And so we're both like, you're fighting with this. I got both people who I do like and want and understand. Right. It's just when we do the SOS episodes, that's like kind of what we're going for.
Right.
And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But we take chances.
Yeah, a lot of it depends on the person. Obviously, for this one, I was like personally involved, so I had maybe a little more oomph behind it.
Well, I would also say that it's the person that comes on has to be so open and ready to like talk it out.
Yeah.
Sometimes you sit at that brunch table and you're like, all right, enough with this. You're not talking to us. You're giving us a story that you want to hear, and we've done that story already. So. It was an enjoyable episode. I went back and watched it on YouTube just to see it. Like I was
great,
like,
right?
It was very good. The comments are invested. Very happy.
And if you're listening and you work at Betches and you want to come on and
all
share
Betches employees, welcome.
I saw a bunch of DMs or comments from people that were like, we should do this with a bunch of Betches employees going through dating issues. So I guess Sean and Maddie are out.
Right. Yeah.
Being in long-term relationships.
Long-termers.
Go find us some other hopeless Betches.
Listen, I listen. It's a conversation I love.
Yeah.
Like the emails, I love them. It was so enjoyable. Love this show. I just want to say I love doing this show, even though there's some people that are like, let's get a new guy in here.
Listen. They say that about me. They say that about me
what,
too.
Are you delusional?
They say that about me too.
Oh yeah, there should be a new CEO of Betches. Oh really? Fucking idiot. All right, let's get to the show. Because I like this first email. It's kind of on this topic.
Yeah. Let's do it.
If you're listening right now, I'm in Dublin as we speak.
What is the Dublin hello?
Cheerio. I don't know what the fuck they say.
British. I don't know.
Lucky Charms. I don't know.
You're going to do great there. Is that your opener?
Hey, top of the morning to you. I don't know what the fuck is. I just tipped a hat if you're watching on YouTube. I'm in Belfast. I'm in London. 3 of the 4 shows sold out at this point. I hope the other one sold out. Copenhagen, Amsterdam, Berlin sold out. When you hear Berlin sold out, what the fuck? Who are these people?
That's amazing.
I guess it's a big military area.
Okay.
So there's a lot of displaced Americans.
So they're mostly Americans buying the tickets who live in Berlin?
Is that not the way to say it? Displaced Americans?
No.
They're not in place. They're not in America.
Displaced makes them sound like they're prisoners of war or something.
Really?
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
Right?
Refugees? Expats.
Expats.
I've done shows where expats are the most fun. Displaced. I don't know.
Displaced, I feel like
maybe the Redditor's right. I gotta be replaced. Displace me.
Missing children. Sorry.
This is how dumb I will go. If you want to see a show, me in Europe, I went with Michelle Wolf. I opened for her in Europe a few years ago, and she was like, I didn't understand it, but she was like, I love watching you in Europe. You don't realize how American you are until you're out of America.
Yeah.
And I am a McDonald's eating, Bud Light
like
drinking.
The stereotype.
I am the stereotype. I am very comfy cozy in New York City as me being me. And there, I'm enjoying, but I'm just very not. She was like, I went on stage. Have I told you this story? I went on stage one night. I was like, we were in England, and I go, do you guys have mosquitoes here? And they're like, yeah, we do, you fucking idiot. Like the whole audience as one was like, you idiot.
I mean, I wouldn't say it would be like the most commonplace for mosquitoes. It's
right.
Not, very tropical.
I would assume, right.
Right.
So
maybe I guess I'm American. I'm a dumb American too. American
maybe.
Idiot. Yeah.
I mean, her audience too was like it's not like ours. Ours is, hers is very smart. Ours, no, I'm kidding.
Ours don't know shit.
But hers are like politically savvy.
Yeah.
Like it was right after she did the White House Correspondents' Dinner. So it was like, okay. They were like
on
BBC loving, ours is Love Island watchers, which I love. Listen,
don't do our audience dirty like that.
Dirty. This is who I am. I'm sitting here watching Love is Blind. Did you watch Love is Blind?
I like to think of us as medium brow.
I'll take it. Yeah, I like
medium
that.
Brow.
We'll do a fart joke here and there.
But we'll also, use displaced persons incorrectly. Yeah.
All right. So and then listen, the U Up Live show, it's almost sold out in Chicago. We're coming to Chicago. My brother and his fiance are going to come.
Amazing. Mike's going to be there too.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I'll go out.
Well, let's do something.
Let's do it.
Okay. And if you're listening at home, maybe
maybe you want to see the cast of characters.
Right. You see maybe we'll invite you guys to dinner too.
Yeah. Oh, I've never met your brother. That's going to be fun.
Really?
Yeah. Isn't that weird?
That is bizarre. I've met every single one of your siblings, and that's a lot of siblings.
Yeah. Well, you're at my wedding, so that makes sense. But
I got the whole caboodle.
Yeah.
You'll meet them and the fiance, and they're going to come. Listen, you got to get those tickies.
Get them.
The U Up Live is just a fun event. Like, you hear the way we're giggling here?
It's a lot of giggling.
Come on out.
But also medium brow.
Very medium brow.
Yeah. You guys are going to enjoy it.
The most medium brow. And I know brows. Look at these puppies.
Exactly. No one knows brows like him.
That's right.
Right.
So let's do some, and also we're coming to Philadelphia, Boston, New York, DC. DC's like selling out, I heard. So
it's doing well.
That's doing well. New York, pick it up. And then I'm coming to Stamford, Connecticut. I just added that to my calendar. So if you're in Connecticut, I'm going to do some stand-up. But I think this is on the topic of kind of what I'm talking about with the Redditors and how their feelings. Man, some of the Redditors are probably like, he's talking right to us.
Okay, I'll read the first email. Hi, Jared and Jordana. I'm struggling with probably a common situation, but would appreciate your input. A couple months ago, a girl I went to high school with reached out to me on Instagram asking how I was doing. We didn't really talk back then. We shot the shit for a while and eventually agreed to catch up over drinks. Before we met up, she prefaced that she was going into this as friends, only since she just broke up with her 7-year-long boyfriend 2 months prior to reaching out to me. I agreed and we went out. Since then, we have hung out 2 additional times, very date-like, only one-on-one, and text every single day. After all of this, I admittedly started developing feelings for her. I was struggling with how to tell her this, but she beat me to it. Shortly after our last hangout, she confessed all her feelings to me over text, stating that she is super into me, wants this to turn into something, yada, yada, yada. However, she mentioned that she is not ready to jump into anything and feels like if we talk and hang out as much as we do, she will be even more into me. She wants to pick this back up further down the road when she's in a better place. She wants to remain friends and only hang out in group settings in the meantime. Just group settings, okay. She acknowledged that it was kind of shitty of her to dump all this information on me, only to just turn around and say she can't do anything about it right now and needs to work on herself. I admitted how much I was into her as well, and she was very understanding of her needing time, so I agreed then. But now I'm struggling with this situation. Part of me wants to respect her request and give her time, but another part of me wants to just tell her we should just give it a shot if we like each other as much as we say we do. I'm not sure I can wait over 6 months, especially without the guarantee we will end up dating. I really like this girl. Another cynical part of me feels like she might be making all this up because she sensed I was into her and wanted to take a step back from our friendship while letting me down easy. Would appreciate any and all of your advice.
Love this email.
Great email.
Love this guy.
Yeah.
You know, he knows what he wants. And I think there's a lot of women out there that are like, would fucking love someone who's like, want to go on dates, want to see what this is.
Yeah.
That's what he's looking for. And I hear his problem, you know, like, it's just like, I appreciate the problem. What did you think?
I appreciate the problem too. I think it's funny because you always say men don't throw away leftovers, right?
Right.
And I don't think women do either, but in a different way than men.
I totally agree with you.
You know?
Yeah.
Here's a guy she knows is into her.
Mm-hmm.
Very comfy. She likes him. I think there's something missing there for her. That's why she's saying, I'm not looking to hang out one-on-one. I'm not looking to sleep with you. That's what that means to me.
Right.
But I'm down to hang out in a group. And if I'm feeling a little lonely down the line, or if I decide I'm willing to settle for this, and I hate to put it in that way because I don't think that he's I don't like implying that he's someone that you'd be settling for, but if it's like, if I can make myself be into this down the line, I'd like to keep you as an option.
There's a nice way to look at that I'm going to add on to, but I agree with what you're saying.
The wording I just used was harsh.
But settle is what it is,
yes.
you know, but it's because, again, to go back to the facts of this email, she's out of a long-term relationship, and she broke up with her 7-year-long boyfriend 2 months prior to reaching out. So anytime a relationship ends, you're like, and you find someone right away, again, as you said, is comfy.
Yeah.
He's from her hometown. They know the same street signs. They know the same teachers. They have a lot in common they didn't really hang out in high school. So they already have a lot in common. So this is
feels safe.
Fraught with safety.
Yeah.
And so when you get out of a relationship and you see this safe option that checks a lot of boxes, there is a version of like, maybe I should be dating more. I haven't seen the world, you know. I'm going from relation to relationship. Everyone out of a relationship has that. I met someone right away that I am kind of putting off and see as settling, even though that seems mean.
Yeah.
But because of the circumstance of and everyone's saying, you got to be single. You got to, you know, who am I to think that the next person is the one that was the right you know? Right.
But I also think that if she was truly completely into it, she wouldn't care that it's been 2 months.
Right. I think she even knew beforehand. She did another thing that I always say men do, that people do.
Yeah.
And she had this pre-hang contract. And I think the pre-hang contract always comes from someone.
We're just going to be friends.
Right.
Yeah.
And it always comes from someone who already knows what this is before ever walking through the door.
Yes.
The guy who's like, hey, I'm not looking for more. I just want to make sure before we get together for the first date.
Not looking for a relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just looking for someone that I can hang out with, and maybe if we hook up and we'll see what happens. And you're like, isn't that dating?
Right.
Right. We have so many people that are like, this guy, he's like, why is he just explaining dating?
They're giving themselves the out.
Right.
Yeah.
They're pre-breaking up with you.
Yes.
And she is doing a version of that.
Yeah.
She's saying, I'm out of a relationship. We're getting together as friends. Want to be sure I'm up front because it's that sign the contract. If you hang out with me, I've said it. You can't say that I came on to you under false pretense and then wouldn't hook up with you and made you feel like shit.
Right.
You know, I've already set up this nerfy,
Yes.
like safe area for us to play in.
Yes. And it's, again, like all these situations when one person preempts that, it's always working better in their favor. And that works here. That applies in this situation as well. She, coming from a breakup of after 7 years, I can imagine it feels good to feel validated by knowing that someone likes you.
Right.
And again, sometimes that doesn't mean that it's not about the person or that you don't like the person, but sometimes that's the part that you like the most. This person that you think is attractive or cool or nice or whatever, this person likes you. And that sometimes is like all you really needed out of the interaction.
Right. And for him, like we're going through the mind of someone we don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, I don't know that this is what she's thinking, but
we're giving all
to guess,
we're giving all the options.
Right.
It's on the spectrum of I'm just out of a relationship, so I don't want to like get into the next relationship, to you're someone to just give me a jolt of dopamine because I've lost it from my 7-year boyfriend.
Yeah.
And anywhere
somewhere in between there. Yeah.
But I like that we're starting with that because now we can concentrate on the emailer.
Yes.
Because the emailer, to me, and this is hard advice to give, easy advice to give, difficult to take, is the only way out of this is to stop this.
Of course.
Like, because he even writes at the end, another cynical part of me. This is where the guys start to sound bad. Is when you sign up. Well, I think like when you sign up for a situationship, when you sign up, because she's like, let's hang out in group settings. Basically, she's going, I'm starting to feel things for you. Whether that means she felt that he was feeling things. I think she got wind that he felt more, and she started to feel bad. I'm hanging out with someone who wants more than what we're doing.
And eventually, you do start to feel a guilt for not doing anything physical.
Absolutely. And so I think, and they're texting every day.
Yeah.
I've been in that where I'm like, yeah, I can't.
It almost feels like the opposite of what I feel like a lot of men will feel like if they're hanging out with someone and they're sleeping with them and they're seeing them, but they know they're never going to be in a relationship with them. It's like most people with some sort of conscience feel a little bit of a guilt at some point when that continues to go on. Right.
You're underserving the person that is coming to you, your customer, and
when one person is that, and again, people who are like astute emotionally kind of know when that's happening, even if it's not explicitly said. And most people, if they do that, it makes the overall experience worse because you just know one person is much more invested than the other.
And that's where she was. She was in a place where she's like, I'm doing less than feels good doing. And so now, hey, I'm going to go to this other thing, which is, let's hang out when we're in group settings, but this one-on-one thing is too much for me. Mm-hmm. And he says, I like you, and admits to that. And now everything's out there. She says, I like you. He says, I like you, but we can only hang in group settings. And then he gets to this thing where he writes, another cynical part of me feels like she might be making this all up. This is when guys sound bad, I think, is like when we start saying, when guys sign up, I think like when women sign up for like the hookup situationship, they go, this person's meant, they'll get into like therapy speak and kind of like a lot of times from the emails that we get, like I've been, this past guy fucked with my head, and listen, they're not wrong for that.
Right.
But I think when the road a lot of guys go down is, I'm being used to pay for dates. I'm being used,
Right. I didn't get that necessarily from this.
Well, I think this, but I'm saying when he says the cynical part of me, I think that's like the road your brain goes down when you sign up for the emotional thing that doesn't go into physical. You go down, because I wrote this down. It's like the cynical part happens when you're signing up for less than what you want. So they're using me for love. They're using me for texting. They're using me to get
into their motivate. When you're starting to question their motivations,
right?
That's the cynical part.
And that's what he's starting to do. So you can't do that because it seems like he's a good guy. It seems like he likes this person. It seems like she likes him. You're not going to look good if you stay around this in these group situations. Right. I think he's going to end up.
You're just going to get frustrated.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that he has to kind of trust. And this is, the hardest thing to do is like, you have to let her know, I'm having a party. This guy sounds like everyone's a party. I want you to come to my party. I've let that be known. I can't have you at my party in this way with other friends. The party that I'm throwing is, I'd like to date you. I know what I want. That means seeing what this is. The door's always open for you to come in.
Right.
But I can't have you at this party with other friends, like the way you're trying to come to this party.
Yeah.
I'm using the party metaphor because it's like,
I think you're saying about this relationship.
Right. Yeah. Because he has stated, this is what I want. If you want less than that, if you want the friend mixers, I can't handle that. And that's vulnerable to say. Like, and you go, that's not something I can handle. I like you, and
That's not what I want.
I'm getting frustrated.
Right.
But always know you have my number.
If things change.
Things change. I'm totally down for that. If my situation is the same as it is now.
Right. And
we'll figure it out.
Then she comes back, you girlfriend or fuck off to her.
Right. Right. Then you get into the Julia situation. But it made me think of the Reddit stuff.
Yeah.
To bring it back to me. No, but I'm saying, like, you can only do you and be honest.
Yeah.
Like the people who...
I think as long as you're doing that, then that's
what are you going to do?
The best anyone can do.
Right. And it's like, this guy can only drive his boat. Right now, he's trying to figure out what and we went over all the options.
Yeah.
What she thinks, what she likes. You're never going to know.
Yeah. You can only take care of yourself.
Right. And right now, the power he has, and I kind of envy it. I definitely envy it, is he knows exactly what he wants. That's the girl I like. I want to date her. What a powerful thing.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could phrase it like that. It definitely doesn't feel powerful, I think, in the moment.
Right. But I think it'll be
feels
more
like
powerful.
You're the one who has less negotiating power.
Sure. You might lose but at least you know who you're at the negotiation table with.
Yes, that's true.
Clarity
is a gift.
Listen, as someone who lacks clarity.
Okay.
Myself,
I'm
cursed. Cursed with non-clarity. I think like...
I mean, the person without clarity usually feels like the villain.
Right.
Yeah.
She's the person without clarity.
Yeah, no. I would say in this scenario, she seems like the villain.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I'm saying, obviously it's where
if we had to make it in that.
If we had to pick a character in the rom-com who's the bad guy and the good guy, that's what it feels like here. Which again, I don't think anyone's doing anything wrong. I think she did a great job getting ahead of it.
Yeah. It's funny. It's like when you get ahead of it and saying like, I just want to be friends and there's no physicality, like you sound like you've done a good job when the guy writes, hey, I just want to make sure we're just like going down on each other and nothing more. You're like, oh, but it's like, but there's a niceness of that too.
Yeah, I think that's kind of great too. That's also clarity.
Right.
I
agree.
It sounds ickier because it sounds a lot more gross to use someone for friendship rather than sex. Right. But I don't think there's anything wrong. I prefer that. I much prefer a guy on an app tell me I'm just looking to hook up than to go out with him, go on 3 dates, and then find that out through his actions.
Totally. I completely agree. I'm looking for a relationship. We'll see what happens. It's like, that's not as fun as,
right.
Even though it hurts less in the beginning. But
yeah.
Let's do some sex.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. UUP@betches.com. Awkward sex. We love this. I like this one.
It's a good one.
Different, but also short and sweet.
Yes.
Right. My college boyfriend and I had just started dating, and we were still getting to know each other. We'd only had sex maybe 2 times before. One night in the middle of foreplay, I could tell he was a little unsure of what to try or how far to go. So, to break the ice, I told him it was okay if he wanted to shake things up and be a little rough with me. Surprise, surprise, he was on board. He starts rolling up his sleeves. Let's get it going.
There's her college boyfriend.
Yeah. I pictured him slapping my ass, pinning my arms above my head, pulling my hair a little, things like that. He was laying on top of me and on his bed, so right after he agreed, we both readjusted at the same time, me moving down the bed a bit and him moving up. When he unceremoniously, full-forced, kneed me in the crotch, I yelled out in pain and shock, and he looked horrified. For a brief few seconds, I was thinking, this is what he thought I meant by being rougher in bed? He watches a lot of Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. Give her a little knee to the crotch. I confirmed with him that was not the plan and that it had happened by accident. After laughing it off, we got back to it and became a running joke throughout our relationship. Signed, need to get it on.
That's funny.
Great sign off.
I like the sign off.
What do you think of this?
This is funny.
Hilarious. Yeah. And I do think it was just, we're adjusting and I accidentally need you in the vagina.
Yeah, I mean, you would have to imagine, unless he's a complete monster, that's what happened.
And no one thinks, let's get rough in bed, and they're like, yeah, okay, let me do some slapstick and knee you in the crotch.
Right.
I guess the other way around, there's some guys out there that are like, kick me in the balls, and they
People
get off.
Like that?
It's a
I've
thing.
never heard of that.
I think we're at a point.
Extremely painful. No.
Right. Some people like the pain.
That's true.
Thing they're into it.
Right.
I've had women bite me.
Okay.
And
I've seen that.
The bite is hard because there's a very thin line between this is sexy and, oh my God, I'm about to react in a way that makes me look not sexy.
Like Screech?
Right? Oh, ow! Yeah. Ah, what, you bite me? Like that's not hot.
Yeah.
But like biting, I do understand why it's hot, but it's like a Three Bears situation.
It has to be like a soft nibble, not like
right.
a ow, like a.
Well, some people are looking for an ow.
I guess so. Yeah, I think there should be like like a spectrum you can point to on the scale.
Right, a teddy bear. How hard to hit me?
Or like what level are we looking for here? A 3, a 7?
Right. Well, that's why I think the kinkiest couples are probably the most communicative.
Right.
Like they have these open relationships. We get emails about that sometimes, but sometimes you get the email from the people who want open relationships that are like, so my boyfriend brought it up as a last ditch effort to save this. And you're like, that's not how it works.
Right.
Open relationship people are like, there's a contract, they have rules. And it's the same with kinks. There's a lot of communication, which is good.
Over communication, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that makes sex better is the communicative part. I like this. I like a bite at a 7, not a 3.
Feeling like you can be comfortable enough. That's sort of like the perk of being with someone a while and being able to have those conversations.
Right. I like Anita the Nuts.
How about you?
Right. I've what did I write down? Red flag or deal breaker? They get too into the sexual thing. Like red flag, deal breaker, you accidentally knee the guy in the balls and he's like, that's exactly what I was looking for.
It's to him, I think I'd be fine with it.
You're good with it?
Yeah.
Little knee to the ball. What's it on you?
Right. Yeah. It's like I think that would be fine.
Right.
Yeah.
I genuinely think a lot of
guys.
Of course.
She's like, choke me. And then
well, the choke me thing now is like said a lot. Like at stand-up shows, you'll see a lot of bad comedy about
choking.
It's something that people openly talk about now. It's not as on
taboo.
Stage. Okay. Yeah, because it's a little shocking.
Right.
And it seems, I don't know. I've been in that scenario, and I'm always like, okay, like I think
sounds hot.
Yeah, that's how I say.
What? Okay.
I think what you want is someone else to be like open and also somewhat turned on by whatever you're looking to do.
Yeah, that's the ideal situation.
Right.
That's like a great sexual match.
Right. If two people are sitting there on the bed waiting to get strangled at the same time, you got a problem.
Well, here's the thing. It's like I guess it's like anything. It's hard to probably be compatible non-sexually and sexually all in the same, in the same sphere.
I think that's the hardest part of the whole thing.
Finding your perfect match.
Right.
They don't talk about that in Are You the One, do they?
No. Like,
not Are You the One. Love is Blind.
Love is Blind.
Yes.
Well, I'm sure in those pods,
yeah,
there's got to be an element of like what turns you on. That's a normal question.
You would imagine. Do they show any of it?
No, they didn't get into that this season. You don't see that. Like it would be interesting if they were like, if two people were like,
sexual compatibility is a big thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. If it would be funny to watch the pod exchange between the person that's like, I like to be choked, and then the other person's like, me too, and they're like, see ya. Guess this won't work. They put away the Notebook. They have the Notebook.
Yeah.
The Notebook is always funny to me. All of a sudden they become scholars.
Right. Diligent note taking.
Yeah.
Very hot.
Can you imagine if I showed up to a first date, and I got this notebook? Well, I was watching Love is Blind and it seemed to work for them.
Like you're a therapist?
Yeah.
You're like, interesting.
Tell me about your family.
Yes.
Do you have a name for this one?
I liked Maddie's name. She had the V's knees.
Love the V's knees.
That's great. Cappy accident.
Cappy accident's fun. V's knees.
V's knees, that might be the winner.
I had the knee job. Self-defense dalliance, because it was like a self-defense maneuver.
Yeah. That's what you're supposed to do, I guess.
Take a knee.
Oh, that's good.
Did your coaches growing up when you played sports? Did you play sports?
Not well.
I didn't. I didn't play well.
Did they say anything about taking a knee?
Well, that was a big thing growing up. Take a knee.
What does that mean?
Get on your knee. Like,
why?
Because the coach is about to talk.
Oh, no, we weren't doing that.
No?
I don't know if that's like something you'd be like saying to like a bunch of 13-year-old girls.
I guess now that you put it that way, I never really thought it. Because in like football practice, take a knee.
Oh, yeah, we didn't get that.
And everyone would get on one knee.
Yeah,
that was like a rest.
I was definitely far from a star athlete, but I don't think I've heard that one.
Oh, I just had.
Maybe it was for men.
Yeah, maybe. It might be just football. Soccer, I would assume they take a knee.
I've never heard of you guys. Yeah.
Sean?
Okay, maybe
Maddie,
it's a men's sports.
It's a men's sports thing.
We were like, would take a knee if someone was injured.
Take a knee if someone's injured.
If someone's injured, they would yell at you to take a knee.
Yeah. That was a way to like get everyone to stop moving around.
Yeah.
Right. I had my last one as my favorite one. A little too needy.
Ooh. That's good.
But I like Maddie's better. Need to get.
Because she was the one who requested it. That's perfect.
Yeah, she was a little too needy. Let's do another email.
Okay. Dear J&J, thank you for all you do. I'm writing to get your take on my current situationship. I met this guy from Hinge in December, and we've been seeing each other pretty consistently for the past 4 months. We have a really strong physical connection. See, it's that sex thing.
There we go.
And our hangouts usually include grabbing dinner and drinks before going back to one of our places. I've always been unsure about how strong our connection is on a personal level, and he's done and said things that were red flags, but not deal breakers. We have a lot of fun together, though, so I haven't wanted to break it off, and at one point we both said we'll keep things casual for the time being. Here's the crux of my issue. I often seek out the opinion of my friends to get their take on him, but also spill the latest stories about him at the brunch table for entertainment, if it's funny, but also to get reactions and advice. For this reason, my friends have come to see him as not the one for me, and I think I'm wasting my time. As we've continued seeing each other casually, I can tell we're both starting to catch more feelings. I've tried keeping him at arm's length, but do find that I continue wanting to go back to him even as I go on dates with other guys. My closest friends have such a bad impression of him, though, from my initial stories. Should I try to win my friends over? Is it him I need to talk to about the things that make me hesitant? Or is it that I really need to limit how much I tell my friends about relationships in the future to avoid this happening? Sincerely, brunch table oversharer.
It's a great email.
It's a great email.
It's something we kind of reference a lot on this show, this idea of the brunch table, this idea of, I mean, it is funny too, because this is the beauty of never talking about your relationships with your friends.
You get to change your mind all the time.
Right.
You're in, you're out. You're in, you're out.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
You tell me about stuff, though.
I've told you about stuff. I guess.
But also,
there's never an element of like, I don't know. I wouldn't think that you would be like, didn't you say? You know, like, I don't know.
Well, I think that's true for like everyone who actually, I think most people don't really care.
Right.
Like, it's fun to discuss at brunch, or like he's not, but like if you told me you weren't into someone, or you told me something like negative that they did, and then the next week you were like, I actually feel like I'm really into this now, I wouldn't care at all.
You know what? Well, I guess her problem that she's not really saying is you can't unhear what they've said.
Right. And then maybe I'd remember it. Now, here's the thing. I have so many friends who have done this with so many guys, and they're married to some of them.
Right.
Like,
and it's not like you're holding on to that
I forget.
at their wedding being like, this ain't working because she said this back then. You grow with them.
Right. Maybe you think about it for like the next month that they're dating them, or the first, wedding or thing that they bring them to. You're like, interesting. Look how that turned around.
Right.
But eventually no one remembers or cares.
And your real friends, you'd sit with them. I would assume, why wouldn't they sit with their friends and be like, I'm kind of getting into this guy. I don't, I've told you things in the past. Like, it's okay to go, I've told you these things in the past, and I don't know, he's kind of making a turnaround here.
Yeah.
That thing I told you that mattered to me doesn't really matter anymore.
Right. I think it would be such a bad idea to not see where something went because you told someone something negative about someone.
Right. And I think the thing that they're most upset about, they say in the beginning of their email, physically they were okay, but there were personality things that they've complained about to the brunch table. And you go, yeah, that's because like the physical stuff, you don't really need to talk about that. Maybe you say it was if it was horrific sex and you like the guy, you might not bring it up because maybe you'll get the sex better.
Yeah.
And if it's amazing sex and you hate the guy, you'll bring up the sex and you'll be like, fuck this dude.
But also with the personality thing, like you can work on if someone said something that you didn't like, that's something that like happens a lot more early in a relationship than later in a relationship while you're figuring out the way you like to be spoken to.
And before you even know them, the pressure points, you go, wow, they say things like that?
Right. I mean, she didn't give any specific examples,
Right.
but I think I've had friends tell me about like kind of things that guys they were dating have said that I would like, oh, that's kind of a red flag. But then again, it's like the more you hang out with each other, the bigger influence you have on each other, and the less they're going to be speaking like that.
Did you ever say things about Mike before? Was there ever like
sure
a
I've
brunch table
complained.
thing?
I'm sure I've had some complaints.
Do you have any memory of what people said, of what they were, or what the response was? Was there ever someone that was like, like to one of the red flag deal breakers you brought up about him?
I don't think there was anyone who was ever like, oh no, get out. Like, because again, I think it depends on what you're saying, right? If it's like a mannerism or a thing that they've done that kind of annoys you, that's one thing. But if it's like, oh, they stood me up, like that, I might remember like, which he didn't do. Do you know what I'm saying? If it was like things towards me that seemed mean or like they would be deal breakers or, speaking a certain way I'm trying to think of an example.
But this should be comforting to this person.
Right. If it's
Is
like
how
they did
frivolous
something
this all is.
right. If it's like they did, or even if like, oh, like he's not really putting that much effort into our dates. If someone said that to me, I wouldn't be like, fuck it. I'd be like, all right, well, why don't you ask him to do that?
Well, right.
And
I would say the line of delineation between your friends not caring and caring is when you say you start to like them.
Right.
Because when your sob stories start happening over and over again, it's the same story every time, and they're going, you got to leave this guy. That's when the stories get...
Yeah, when you're really upset. If you're not happy, then those stories will come back to you.
Right. And because if in the beginning you're going, oh my God, he said this and he said that, and everyone's like, what a fucking loser. And then you come to the brunch table, you go, he said that thing in the past. I know we made fun of him. I'm kind of getting into this. I don't know what's going on right now. From then on, and then you're like, he canceled our date again. Then they start going, okay, I've given you advice. Now I'm getting annoyed.
Right. And now I don't like this person.
Right.
Because that's why people, I guess, tell people less stuff once they're into someone.
Well, this happens with guys a lot. You get the stories. And the minute a guy gets serious, a lot of my friends, you don't hear
any stories.
The stories are over. They go from hooking up with this chick to that is Lauren. Like it's very different vibes and energy.
That's a good thing, though.
It's a good thing. Yeah. And I will say the one thing that I've had where feedback I've gotten that's kind of affected me, what annoys me is sometimes like I'll meet someone and I'll show a picture to like my brother or someone and they'll do like, oh, they all look the same. I'm like, don't say that.
That could be my wife.
Right. Like, right. I don't need that to be the first thing. Like, I'm showing you someone. Like, I think it's more important for the other side than the person writing in right now. Like, I think you have to be careful. Yeah. If you're being presented with a story, you have to be careful more.
It could be the one. This one could be the one.
Could be the one.
Tread carefully.
Especially if they say like, and you have to kind of like, you have to kind of like read the room a little bit. If this is fun, make fun of guy thing, that's different than, hey, I kind of like this guy.
Well, people
here's a picture and they all look the same.
People go off your energy.
Right.
So if you're like, yeah, went on a great date, like check her out.
Right.
That's different than like, I'm debating if I should go out with this person. What do you think?
Right.
Like, I feel more comfortable saying they all look the same to that than I'm so like I had an amazing time on this date.
People, I don't think people like. I've had that said to me, like, like, shut the fuck up.
Do you show them? Like, do they ask to see?
Yeah.
Okay. If they're asking to see it, then they should shut up about
right.
them all. Right.
It's like, yeah, I
have a type. Yeah.
What am I
shocking.
gonna fucking do?
Yeah.
Ready to play some games?
Let's do it.
UUP@betches.com. Keep sending these in. I love this week's red flag deal breakers. Very specific. Love these ones.
Raw materials. Okay.
That's right.
You want to read the first one?
Yes. Your partner's dad is dating their ex. So your partner's dad is dating their ex.
Okay. So if it's like Mike's dad was dating his ex.
Right. which I've been with my partner for 4 years. And around the same time we got together, his dad and his ex also got together.
Ugh.
That is bizarre.
I don't like that.
Such an ick. My partner and her used to be best friends when growing up, doing family trips together. And then when they were like 18, they hooked up and dated. She and his dad are still together now. So I'm assuming, I'm a little confused. My partner and her used to be best friends, doing family trips together, and then when they were 18, they were like the partner and her hooked up,
Right, and his ex. Yeah.
And wait a minute, what?
She's saying when her partner was growing up, he was friends with this woman,
Right,
and then when they were 18, they hooked up and then they dated.
and then they broke up.
Yes,
and then the dad swooped in.
Yes,
and started dating that partner.
Yeah,
that ex.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear these stories sometimes, from time to time.
From time to time, I guess. Yeah.
I'm thinking of one that I've heard.
I don't have any specific memories of this. I've heard it on like true crime podcasts.
Right. I've heard like versions of this that are as to less icky, like
Elon Musk's family, I feel like has something like this.
It's bizarre.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's very dysfunctional.
Right. But you as the outsider coming in, it has nothing to do with from their point of view, it has nothing to do with the person you're dating, but they are brought up, they are like
raised by this person.
Right.
I would need to hear their take on what's going on, and it would have to be appropriately like embarrassed about it.
We got to discuss holidays to me. I don't know. I'm not going.
I assume their family dynamic is somewhat fucked up.
I mean, if it's not, it's even more fucked up.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
Which is fine. Again, you can't choose your family. It doesn't sound like it's this person's fault. It's not like they're dating their dad's ex, which would be an interesting other story.
That would even be less weird to me.
It might be.
This is weird because they grew up together.
It feels more predatory.
Very.
Yeah. I don't love it, but again, I don't think it's the partner's fault.
I'd be out.
I would need to know more about their thoughts on the whole thing. I don't feel like they should be punished by never being able to date someone because their dad is crazy and is dating their ex.
But are they like around them?
I think there was a movie with that happening.
Is it?
It was in a movie. Who was the person in the movie? Damn it. I don't know. There's a movie where that happens.
The more I think about it, the more weird it gets to me. Like, I don't know if I'm chilling with the dad at that point.
But maybe he's not close to the dad.
If that's the case, I would need to know this isn't a person that's a part of our lives anymore. Because for the dad to do that to you.
Let's say the mom in your scenario.
If the mom is dating her ex-boyfriend.
Her daughter's ex.
This is bad, but I don't know why that doesn't ick me out as much. But I guess it does. The growing up together.
Well, that's Something's Gotta Give.
Well, they didn't grow up together.
Fine.
Something's got to get. I think that's the big key point that makes me.
The growing
walk
up
away.
together is very creepy.
Right.
Yes.
Because, listen, on what day did they decide? I don't know.
I need more information here.
Right. I'm doing Passover at my house.
You're fair. Yeah, I think that's fair. All right.
Let's do another.
After one date, a guy gives your colleague a letter to give you instead of texting. I was set up on a date by a colleague and her husband. We'll call the guy Bob. I text him to meet up and we spent about 2 hours getting drinks before we went our separate ways at the end of the night. He was nice, but we didn't have much in common, so I was fine to let it fizzle. Neither one of us texted the other person after the date either. But the following week, my colleague emailed me saying that Bob had given her husband a letter to give to her to give to me. See the attachment for the letter/card. Let's read that and then I'll finish the email.
The letter is crazy.
You want to read the letter?
I'll read the.
So this is a letter that you've given to my colleague's husband to give to my colleague to give to me.
Right. So this is like if we went on a date and then I went to Maddie, or I went to Maddie's boyfriend, was like, here, give this to Maddie to give to Jordana.
Yeah. Because let's say Maddie had gone on a date. Well, it's like if Maddie and her boyfriend set me up with you.
Right.
And then we went on the date. Neither of us texted each other.
Right.
And then you give a card to give to Maddie's boyfriend, who gives it to Maddie, who gives it to me.
The more it gets explained, the the more I think that this person should be hanging out with the dad who's dating the ex. Like
This sounds like a TLC show. Yeah.
And it's also on like this card that is like the card is too much. It's gold bordered and it has
sending sunny thoughts to you.
Sending sunny thoughts to you is the hallmark. And then he wrote, "Hey, just wanted to say thanks for coming out the other night. I had a great time and really enjoyed the conversation. Feel free to text me if you ever want to hang out. Hopefully," and then it says sending sunny thoughts to you. That's like the card itself.
Yeah.
"Hopefully warmer weather soon so that you can check out some of the awesome trails around here." Smiley face.
This is so weird. He also signs the card.
He signs the card and he did the ... with the smiley face.
So she says,
"This feels like it would be in a Netflix murder documentary. Like this would be
makes
evidence."
no sense. Why wouldn't he? If he didn't text her, why would he do that? Did he not have a phone?
I think this is like one of those miscalculations where guys think women want these things.
No. Well, she writes, "Why would he just write me a letter/card when he has my number? The letter even says to text him." I'm like, you should just text me and cut out the middleman. Isn't this weird? How do I answer that? Do I answer? The date was already a deal breaker, but now it's like a double deal breaker. So what say you?
Here's what you do. You go to the ocean. You put a letter in a bottle. You throw it in the ocean. Maybe it'll get to him. In the same way that this letter got to you. Maybe, it is.
I would not answer.
There's no answer.
Yeah.
I would go to the colleague and be
Yeah.
like, "Hey, just want to like close this tab
Right.
with
Since
you."
he went through you to
Right.
get to this, I think I can go through you to end it.
Right.
Yeah.
Just the card, a little weird for me. I don't even know if you even have to say that.
I don't think you say that. I think you just say, "Got the card from your friend. I have to say it wasn't a match for me. So if you see him,
Just let him
maybe
know.
just let him know." Because he accepted the role of middleman when he took the card. Otherwise,
Right,
he would have
right.
said, why don't you just text her
Right.
or give her the card yourself?
That's the thing. If even the colleague is weird. If I'm the work person,
Right.
I say to my friend, I go, "What's this?"
I'd say, how did the date go?
Right.
What happened after the date?
And then they go, "It was a lot of fun. I have a card for her." And then I would go, "What's in the card?" Even if they said it was a lot of fun, I would go, "Is this a check for her birthday? What are you, a grandmother? What's going on?" And they would go, No. I just want to like give a nice card. Maybe I would and then I would go to my work colleague and be like, "Hey, he said he had fun." I would give some color because the colleague should come up to them and go, "Yeah, he wanted me to give you this card. He said you like cards." Like I
wouldn't feel comfortable delivering that. Yeah.
I wouldn't feel comfortable unless I had asked what the fuck is with
Right.
the card.
And they were like,
then
they've been
delivered with the
texting.
card. Hey, they said you like cards. I would need the colleague is as weird as the person.
Right. Because the friend should have been like, the only way that would be fine would be like, "Yeah, the date went great. We've been texting.
Mm-hmm.
We have like a little inside joke thing. Would you give her this card for me?
Right.
Would you give it to your wife to give to her?"
Right. And then you're a part of the fun.
Right.
And it's not creepy
But
from any angle.
I'd have to know that like they were speaking.
I have to know that I'm not delivering a note I have to know that the note that I'm delivering doesn't have letters cut out from magazines telling her that I'm going to fucking murder her. I would need to know.
I would need to know too before getting, my DNA involved.
Right.
In the envelope.
Deal breaker, I think, for both of us.
Yeah.
Last
it sounds like it was already a deal breaker too.
Yeah, I mean, they were done.
They hadn't spoken in a week and they went out.
Yeah, this wasn't going to salvage it.
Have you ever gone on a date with someone and then not spoken to them in a week and wound up going on another date?
I probably have. Things, "Hey, where you been?" You go, "Oh, yeah, I've been."
Right. Because it didn't end well.
Right. But never like, I don't
You didn't
know.
write them a card after that. Yeah.
No, there was no cards written.
Or yeah. The best is when neither person texts each other after the date.
Right.
And you're like, okay, great. Like same page.
Totally. We can live in that reality.
Yeah, no one has to make the other person uncomfortable.
Hold on. It is so hard to buy a card these days. Do you understand?
Who have you buying cards for?
We're in this weird place in history where we are between generations of cards and no cards.
So you're giving, I love a card, as you know.
As famously,
Yes.
I'm Mr. First Flight. You're Mrs. Cards on Holidays.
Yes. And birthdays.
And birthdays. My mom likes, birthday,
Right.
and you got to send a card. So you got to like, and the card aisle used to be this fruitful oasis, and now it looks like the end of the world. It's the apocalypse in the card aisle at CVS. Like there's nothing left.
Well, when you write a card to your mom, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do you write like a nice note, or do you write like, "Dear Mom," you let the whatever the standard card messages, and then
Sunshiny, what?
Love, Jared. Sending sunshine, or do you write like a nice note?
No, I do the standard.
Which is what?
Happy birthday, we love you, love Jared and Harry.
Oh,
The card is a check-in. The card is a check off the list for my family. Like, even on my dad's birthday, he'll pick up the phone and go, okay, you're off the list. You've checked in.
Yes.
It's like a joke now.
Yeah, no, that's funny. Okay. Well, Mike does that too. And I'll always say, like, why don't you write a nice note to your mom? Why don't you tell her how much you care about her?
What are you going to write?
Exactly that. I like, thank you for everything you do for me. I love you so much. But he's like, that doesn't sound like me.
Right.
I'm like, well, you write it in my cards. He's like, that's because I have to.
Right. That's right. I have the same. I don't know what. Like, it's like the yearbook signing. From math class to gym class, we really had a ride. Like, I don't know what to fucking write.
Well, not for your good friends.
What do you? Even my good friends.
I love a nice card.
From nights at the 7-Eleven.
Hopefully, I have a daughter one day who knows how to write a card.
I mean, that's going to be a big thing for you.
Yeah.
Teaching them the ways of the
If
card.
I get a fucking card that says, "Dear Mom, happy birthday, we love you."
We love you. Let's do one more.
Disgusting.
Okay. Over DMs getting to know each other, he emphasizes he's looking to have sex. J&J. Why do men feel the need to clarify they want to have sex as part of the package of what they're looking for? Unless you're asexual, we're all looking for romantic relationships that include sex, women included. See the attached Bumble screenshot. Both him and I had the looking for a relationship section selected for our profiles, so I was kind of confused why he felt the need to ask. Then his response made me think that he wasn't looking for a relationship. Do you think it's fair to assume that men who bring up sex very early are only looking for something casual, even if they suggest otherwise? Best chill out. We're all trying to fuck.
Okay, so let's read. We'll read from the April 11th.
Okay.
Convo. You're be him.
So he writes, looks like you're well-traveled. So tell me what you're looking for off of Bumble.
Red flag.
Right.
Ideally a relationship. So dating to find a genuine connection with the right person. What about you?
Someone to eat with, drink with, have sex with, and go places with. He's really broken it down.
This episode really came full circle.
Totally.
Right? Because we just said how nice when someone has clarity and they're telling you exactly what they're looking for.
Right. Well, yeah. And it's funny to me that both the people without clarity are the ones being clear.
Yes.
Like in the first example, the woman who's...
Well, it's like, I'll tell you what I'm not looking for.
Right. I'm not looking to date because I guess she's more clear than he is. He's like, all these things make a relationship. It's like being like, hey, do you want to have a bologna sandwich? And you're like, well, what do you mean by a bologna sandwich?
Right.
And
Well, I'll tell you what I'm not looking to eat.
Right. Right.
I'm not looking to have a chicken Caesar wrap.
Right.
So if that's what you're looking for, this isn't right.
Right. And I think what he's doing
Yeah.
is letting her know, like, all this is on the table for me before I'm going to get committed. When he brings up sex before, like, oh, here's what I'm looking for. And I'm looking for all these things before I am actually in a committed relationship.
Right. So to me, this is a good thing and I'd be out.
Yes. And that's...
But I actually appreciate it.
Yeah.
Someone who says, what are you looking for off of Bumble? You're never going to like what they're looking for.
No. No one's ever said, what are you looking for off of Bumble? And then you're like, well, I'm looking to go on dates and have a good time. And then you're like, what are you looking for? And the guy's like, a committed relationship. He never says that.
Never says that.
It's always, well, I just want to let you know this is kind of what I'm looking for. It's all the prerequisites. It's all things that they could be gotten on. That again, they're serving you a contract. These are things that don't mean, relationship
Cannot hold me
to
accountable.
Right.
Yes.
If we have sex, I told you I'm looking for sex.
Right. Which to me is, if you go into it with can't hold me accountable for this, to me it means I'm going to do this.
And you're not and you're genuinely dating someone who wants an out.
Right.
And that's okay. At least
If
you
you're
know.
if you're into that kind of
Again,
thing.
this is why we do the show. Be a better buyer. We're just being honest about how we feel.
Exactly.
And we did it again. We solved it.
So proud of us.
Always.
We'll be back on Sunday.
Boom.
The U Up podcast is produced by Sean Kilby, Maddie Paul, and Jorge Morales Pico. Editing by Jorge Morales Pico. Social media by Maddie Paul. Be sure to follow at u.up.podcast on Instagram and send us your emails to uup@betches.com.